Well, that's over. The only battery supply love that Tesla ever knew is no longer. They're going to go with a different battery supplier when it comes to China, to their new Shanghai Gigafactory 3. Now, Panasonic is still going to supply the battery cells for the cars that are made for the United States and Europe, but it's going to be a new supplier in China. Now, I don't know if it's a prettier and younger supplier per se, but I know in the previous relationships that supplier had caused some problems. So we're going to talk about that, because I'm wondering if this may put Tesla at risk of having a battery production issues in China. And that's no joke, because that's a huge market. So let's talk about all of this and get the divorce/wedding procedures going right now. Welcome to E4Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. If this is your first time here, go ahead and click on that subscribe button down there so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, so who is this new love of Tesla's life in China? Well, it's LG Chem. Now, Tesla has done business with LG Chem. I mean, as a matter of fact, they're doing it right now, as you know, for their Gigafactory 2 in Buffalo. That's where they make the energy products, and Tesla is actually, Panasonic is not a provider there, which is kind of weird, because anyway, it's LG Chem and Samsung SDI, the other two suppliers that they're working with. So it's not a new relationship per se. It's just they decided to go with them for the Shanghai factory. And well, so let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, LG Chem is a provider of batteries for pretty much a lot of other manufacturers, like all the Volkswagen Group brands, including Audi, Porsche, and Volkswagen itself, Daimler, so Mercedes-Benz, my Chevy Volt in my garage has the LG Chem batteries, Hyundai, and a few others, Volvo also as well. Yeah, so I can go on for a while, but so they've done this for a while, but I'll tell you a couple of issues that I had with Audi, which kind of makes me concerned. But you know, this is kind of the struggle that all of these OEMs, including now Tesla, are going through, simply because, you know, they're struggling to create their own battery cells, because that's a big business, right? That's a very different business. And you know, don't forget, Tesla is not making their own either. It's Panasonic that's making it for them in the Gigafactory Nevada. And you know, the Tesla's putting those battery cells into the battery packs. People a lot of times confuse. So the battery pack is not necessarily just means the battery cell. It's much bigger device and technology, if you will. So and you know, the relationship between Tesla and Panasonic has been a little rocky, because, you know, Tesla is saying how Panasonic doesn't have their stuff together and how they're not producing at the promised output. Then Panasonic took a really big hit when Tesla promised all of this, you know, demand for the Model 3 in 2018, and ended up not making as many, and therefore Panasonic, you know, got a lot of losses and took a loss on that. And of course, they didn't want to reinvest more and more money into something that's losing them money right now. So they've been kind of having a bit of a public a couples fight, if you will. Hopefully they go into couples counseling, they can resolve it, because, you know, at the same time, Panasonic had started seeing another OEM on the side, and they signed an agreement with Toyota to provide battery cells to, not really sure if that's going to be electric cars, because Toyota is just basically on my crap list, if you will, all the way on top of that, as far as manufacturers who just kind of don't believe in electric cars. But nevertheless, they signed the agreement, so Panasonic is going to be providing battery cells to Toyota as well. So as you can see, all of these monogamous relationships are no longer, and it's you know, there are some opinions that Tesla had to do this because of a tariff war that's going on between, you know, China and the Trump administration, and all the uncertainty that surrounds with it. But at the same time, they were going to pick a different at least multiple battery suppliers at their Chinese factory all along. So let's talk about what these batteries are going to be for, and what type of problems I think they might be having based on LG Chem history with Audi and issues that they've had a few months ago. Before that, of course, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out their all-electric SUV called M-Byte. I was lucky enough to be the first social media influencer to test drive one. Check out the video on my channel, but it starts at only $45,000, and there is no deposit, so you can do this for free, about a minute of your time. Go to the description of this video, fill out a quick form, and reserve your Byton today. And again, the video is up. Really proud of that. But let's talk about what this battery, by the way, it's going to be 21700, or some people call it 2170, whatever battery cells that they're putting in the Model 3 right now that are made by Panasonic. But LG Chem, I'm assuming, will just be using kind of the same chemistry there, and this is going to be for Model 3 that they're saying they're going to start produce those in a couple of months, at least some of the parts. So that's pretty exciting. And once Model Y in China is starting to get produced in another year or two, a Model Y will also get the same battery. So this is a pretty big contract. Now, the contract is non-exclusive. So that means that Tesla can pick other brands, other battery suppliers to work with, and they probably will. Now, I believe the only brand I should mention that has the battery cell supplier as one of the investors is Byton, the sponsor of this channel. CATL is their supplier. So that's the only manufacturer that I know where the battery supplier just literally invested into their success. But everybody else kind of has to do this partnership and stuff like that. I'm sure it will work itself out, but let me tell you why I'm concerned. As you remember, Audi e-tron was delayed a couple of times this year. Well, at the end of last year, it was delayed because of some of the software issue certifications, which was kind of, I think, a month delay. It wasn't really that big of a deal. But the bigger delay that they had was because the it's a Volkswagen Group brand, and the LG Chem had a few issues, and one of them is simply jealousy, because Volkswagen Group decided to say, and Audi in particular said that they're gonna create their own gigafactories to produce battery cells, right? I understand that move, but LG Chem said, oh, really? Well, then we're going to cut our production to your e-tron in half and provide, I believe at some point they were providing literally half of that. On top of that, because LG Chem has such a sort of a large influence, and there's so much demand and so little supply, if you will, especially from LG Chem, they raised the prices in the middle of all of this by 10%. I'm not really sure what kind of lawyers Audi has, where this was a surprise and was even able to happen. They weren't locked into the pricing. That's a little weird, but nevertheless, LG Chem raised prices on Audi, and on the top of that, they weren't really able to adult when they were moving their facilities from South Korea to, I believe, Poland, where they're now making batteries for e-tron. So this whole thing delayed e-tron production by a lot, but don't forget, it really wasn't that big of a deal on the bigger scheme of things, because they were selling 500 e-trons instead of 1,000 e-trons a month. Right now, it doesn't do that much of a damage on a big scale, but imagine if Tesla, has their Model 3 production cut in half because of the supply issues, and goes on for 1 or 2. I mean, that can like devastate the company, right? Because that quarter results are just going to be awful, and so many doubts. So hopefully LG Chem is not going to do that to Tesla, or really to any other brand. Like, I hate to see that. That is just not cool, to use a specific industry term here. And I do hope that Tesla, and once again, Audi and others, will figure out how to make their own cells just in case, or because they can put a better technology in it, and at least have contracts with different suppliers. Which brings me to one of the other things that nobody kind of thinks about, but when Tesla bought Maxwell, everybody assumes, and Tesla's like almost pretty much confirmed it, I think, at the shareholder meetings or like one of the quarterly calls, that they're working on their own cells, which does make sense, right? They're going to take this technology, they're going to start making their own cells. They could still be in partnership with Panasonic, because partnership with Panasonic is an ongoing contract, and it's not like a short-term 6 months contract. It's for many years. They might partner with someone else on that as well, but it does look like Tesla will be the first manufacturer to kind of move forward with their own battery cell production, and it looks really, really promising. Now, these are not, from what I understand, they're not going to be like fully solid state batteries, but it's going to be kind of in between solid state batteries and lithium ion batteries with better density. They're going to be lighter and stuff like that. So everyone's kind of looking forward to that, and it looks like Tesla is almost gambling on that technology. It took a while for them to acquire Maxwell. There were some issues, but they have done that. It's now part of Tesla, and everyone's looking forward to what's going to come out of that. So good news for Tesla of moving forward, but I'm a little bit suspicious here. I hope they make other contracts, and honestly, I would still try to work things out with Panasonic. They've been such a long-standing partners. They're still partners in the US and Europe. Again, let's take some couples counseling and figure something out that works for both sides. But also want to remind you guys about our program, Feed a YouTuber. You can, only $5 a month, you can provide shelter, water, and battery video equipment as well for this guy over here, and of course you also get to watch me live, which I always appreciate. It's always fun. And for those of you who don't have an extra $5 a month, that's perfectly fine. We have another thing that's absolutely free that you can find in the description of this video, in addition to the free bite and reservations, and that's our VIP list. We send out bonus stories because there's so many more stories out there that we just can't fit in our daily sort of supply, if you will, for you of videos, or on our website, e4electric.com. So we just put it in a newsletter and send it out to you. It's absolutely free. Go to e4electric.com/VIP. It is also in the description of this video. All right, looking forward to your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.